The SRL on the NFL. Previews, predictions, and analysis covering every storyline in football every week. The SRL on the NFL. Hey everyone, welcome back to SRL on the NFL. My name is Brendan Yerkes, joined alongside Alex Vachaponte. As always, this is episode number 10, week number 10 of the 2024 NFL season. So we're in double digits now, and It's pretty crazy how fast along this is going. Another action-packed week of NFL action, a couple of upsets as usual, but we kept good on our picks. I went 10-5, Alex went 9-6, so I am now ahead in the overall standings by one game. It's kind of crazy that it's that close, actually, because we started out awful, as we say every week. We had the first 2-3 weeks were just bad. I was very concerned for how the rest of the year was going to go. And then we figured it out, had some good weeks, and now we've been pretty consistent. The last 2 weeks before this, we were actually tied and had the same overall record, which is kind of crazy. But still a lot of time left, half the season left, so that'll be a lot of fun to monitor. So we'll jump right in to go through last week's game, starting with the Thursday night game. And for some reason, it's always the Jets we're talking about on this show. I don't know, maybe because I'm a fan of that franchise that, likes to be the topic of everything. But they played the Texans, and we said, we're not picking the Jets anymore. But who wins the game? It's the Jets.
Of course.
They win 21-13 in this game. And the first half was bad. They were down 7-0. Malachi Corley barely gets in the game, in a game all season. I don't think I've seen him touch the ball yet. He gets the ball, thinks he scores his first touchdown, drops it before I see it. I'm like, you know what it is. And then, they were okay. They're down 7-0. Don't feel good about it. But in the second half, they came unleashed. Garrett Wilson, 2 one-handed catches, 2 of the best catches I've ever seen in the NFL. The second one obviously better, but the first one not getting any love because of how good the second one was. That was also a one-handed catch. Devontae Adams' first touchdown as a Jet. So they look good, got that going. Defense shut the door, and the Jets get a much-needed win. There's very little margin for error, but, it's nice to see them get one here.
Yeah, I mean, against obviously a very good team of the Texans,
Right.
I was very surprised that Stroud looked very human. He didn't really look like his dominant self, which, again, is a testament to the Jets.
Just 191 passing yards and a low completion percentage.
Yeah, exactly. So it's finally the Jet defense showing up like it should have been all year, which is great. The Jets should be in these games. We've said throughout the entire year that we think that they probably should have a better record than what it says, but they don't, and that's the frustrating part. But hey, they get a much needed win. They're 3-6 now. It's still ways away before you start to think of, this may get interesting.
Absolutely.
But hey, great win, and let's see what happens forward.
They're not mathematically out of it, just with how the AFC is. So I'm not saying anything's going to happen, but the schedule for them is favorable based on what they have left and who they've played so far. They have an easier schedule than what they started with. So again, if you look at it 1 week at a time, pick up a win here and there, then you never know where you could be at the end of the season. But I think that's the strategy right now. But I will say on the defense, they look good, but the run game is still an issue. Mixon had a really good game, was able to break through a lot. His exact stats, actually, 106 yards. He had a touchdown, so that was on 24 attempts. So Mixon, again, been really solid getting later in his career on a new team. But the Jets' run defense, not great, but they pull away. C.J. Stroud, like you said, struggled, and now he's 0-2 against the Jets. They lost last year, if you remember that game. Yep. Zach Wilson was really, really good in that one. And the Jets shocked the Texans, and that was in December when they were out of it. So, just have their number. A big win against a good team. Again, like we say, if the Jets beat these worst teams earlier in the year, then it'd be a different story. But again, it's the kicker. But we'll see. It's a little late, but if they figure it out and start putting some wins together, I think I wouldn't be complaining. All right, now let's move to the 1 p.m. slate. The Cowboys and the Falcons. We both had this one right. The Falcons take down Dallas 27-21. Dak goes out of this game with an injury, and just the Cowboys, I think, as we said, they're not a bad team, but they're not a good team. I think they're just average. I think that's really where they are. The Falcons have been kind of hitting their stride lately. We're able to do that. And they were at home in this game, and I think that is what took them to victory.
Yeah, you look at Dallas, and This game looks a lot closer than what it actually was because Dallas got like a minute 30 to go touchdown and a 2-point conversion. So don't let the final score fool you. They were getting dominated this game. And they have been getting dominated basically the entire season. I mean, in their wins, they look all right, but in their losses, they look awful. And this is just another one of those just ugly games through and through. And they really need to get it together because they just don't look like the Cowboys like we've seen the past few seasons.
And they're in danger of missing the playoffs here. I mean, they could maybe sneak in. The league this year is just awful. I mean, let's just say it, both sides. I don't think we've ever seen this many bad teams. I think the NFL has been trending in that direction for a while now. But yeah, they could sneak in with a 9-8 record, maybe. Who really knows?
It's possible.
But yeah, they're just an average team. Nothing going on offense. There's just not enough there. They trade for Mingo, which we could talk about some of the deadline deals a little bit later as we kind of go through each team here. But that's not really moving the needle for me. But on the other side, Kirk Cousins hitting his stride as well. Almost an 80% completion, 3 touchdowns, 222 yards. After a rocky start, he couldn't move well. He's really settled in with the Falcons and brought them what they needed to, some stability at quarterback, because we know they had the weapons and we know they've been making that defense better, and they're now starting to put the pieces together.
Yeah, no, the Falcons look pretty solid. I mean, they're 6-3 now. Like, you can't really be sleeping on them. I mean, yeah, it's the NFC South, though. Like, that competition is kind of meh at best, but they look really good. I also did want to point out for Dallas, too, I completely forgot to mention this. Dak Prescott's going to be out for a bit now because he has an injury he's dealing with. So that's another piece of the puzzle. Dak has been a solid leader for them for many years, and now you lose him again. It's going to be tough for them to really make the playoffs here unless they get great backup quarterback play from Cooper.
Yeah, and they gave him all that money too, and it's just it's looking like more and more of a terrible decision. I know that doesn't relate to the injury at all, but it just does not looked ideal with the way they've constructed that team now, and it shows they're just average, and we'll see how they do without him.
Right.
All right, so the Ravens steamrolled the Broncos 41-10. Denver's been pretty solid this year. They have a 5-4 record, but this year they've yet to play the Chiefs, so that's something to monitor as well. They've had some good games, but lose to a really good team here. AFC East battled Bills and Dolphins in Buffalo. You predicted the Dolphins. They actually almost came away with the upset. The Bills pulled away 30-27, so they win by just a field goal. Divisional game, always close. Tua was pretty good. 90% completion percentage. That's actually very impressive.
Yeah,
231 yards, 2 touchdowns. Still trying to pass the ball around a little bit more. It was a pretty widespread game from their wide receivers. Nobody really standing out there. But Josh Allen continuing to do what he does. Another really good game. And yeah, so the Bills continue to move along in the AFC East and widen their gap over the rest of the teams. The Panthers won their second game of the year, 23-22. They beat the Saints, and we both picked the Saints to win because we felt like it was time for them to get one after losing 6 in a row. But nope, they've lost now 7 in a row. They're 2-7 after starting the year 2-0. And, you know, I had the thought, and I kind of think we embarrassed ourselves when we said Derek Carr could, have the MVP type year, which it's not what we said, but we said he was on that pace after 2 weeks.
I said he was elite after 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we said it was good in election years, so maybe now that the election's over, he can return to form.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, what's so crazy to think about though? Now these teams both have the same record. Like that.
Yeah.
They're both 2-7. Like, I understand that the Saints are just nothing impressive, but
that roster's got some talent on it.
Right, it has some pieces. Who would have thought going into this year that both teams would be 2-7? I definitely wouldn't have thought that. I mean,
and it was a good game for Bryce Young. He gets back in, and he's not going to get traded. Maybe there's hope for him after all.
Possibly.
We'll see. But yeah, Derek Carr. It's really just the Alvin Kamara show, though. I mean, he does everything. He was their passing leader and rushing leader in this game.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised he's still there. Honestly, they traded Marshawn Lattimore to the Commanders. For, I believe, a day 2 pick. I'm not exactly sure what the return was, but at that point, you might as well just get rid of what you can.
I would have gotten rid of Kamara, yeah. But
yeah, you probably can get a really good haul for somebody needing a running back.
For running back, so that's probably where the issues lied. But
yeah, can't you retain some of that?
Possibly. It's tough though, especially with their current situation and like trying to manage the cap.
But I know a couple years they were way over, so it's kind of
definitely way over right now too. which is
All
crazy.
right. Bengals beat up on the Raiders 41-24. Bengals starting to return to form a little bit, and they also haven't played too many great teams lately, so they're starting to figure it out a little bit in their race. They're going to be around that 500 mark. We'll see if they can beat past that by the time we get to the end of the year. The Browns regressed after shocking Baltimore. They lose 27-10 to the Chargers. I was actually going with Cleveland. I thought that they'd keep it going, but I was wrong. The Chargers look good. 282 yards from Herbert. Another good game from J.K. Dobbins. Quentin Johnson finally figuring it out this year after a very, very brutal rookie season last year. 118 yards, only 4 receptions, but a touchdown catch. So happy to see that there. But Winston, 3 interceptions. That's what you get from him. It's either boom or bust or both. But,
Right,
yeah. Chargers are weird teams. I feel like I don't know anything about them.
They're again, it's their defense. Like, no one's talking about this defense. They're first in points allowed, and like that alone is just insane. Like, they don't have any. I mean, they have a few solid players on defense, but you would not think, oh wow, that's the best defense in the NFL right now. But it's playing like it, and I mean, this offense basically does just enough. Their run game is much better from last year because J.K. Dobbins is much better than a washed up Austin Eckler, and they're just a completely different team now. They have a whole different identity, and they look pretty good under Harbaugh.
Commanders, Giants. Commanders win again, 2-0 over the Giants for the first time in a while, and it's just Jaden Daniels. He is so good. Does it again. 209 yards in the air. He had 2 touchdowns in this game. And now Daniel Jones did have 2 touchdowns of his own. He looked pretty solid, but the Giants went down big and were just not able to claw back into it.
Yeah, that's the thing. They can't get back into it. Daniel Jones is just mediocre at best. Like, even in his better games, he's just average. As a Giants fan, I'm excited for hopefully them to lose every single game the rest of the way and try to get an actual quarterback because, I was a decent believer in Daniel. You know that. But at some point, it's like, when do you pull the plug? And they have an out after this year where they could end that contract. Everyone's like, oh, the contract. Well, you could cut him after this year, and you don't really have much dead money. So I think this is a perfect opportunity. You try to lose as many games as you can the rest of the year. You have a solid young core. I like the young receivers. I think Neighbors is great. And, you restart fresh in the draft.
Yeah, not the worst strategy in the world.
Yeah.
Talk about teams that are frustrating. The Tennessee Titans, they won. They beat the New England Patriots, but I picked the Patriots.
Of course.
This one goes to overtime. I don't even know how it went to overtime. Drake May just put on a clinic at the last play and chucked it in the end zone.
Crazy.
So, I mean, listen, if you're a Patriot fan, he's got some potential. He's looked solid the last couple weeks. The Titans are just bad. They win this game, though, just because I think there's more veteran talent there. And it's just like a battle of bad teams. Somebody's got to win. So, nothing really too crazy. It's just nothing. I would pick them every week for some reason.
Right.
Cardinals and the Bears. The Cardinals offense, another stellar performance, 29-9. They beat the Chicago Bears, who just really can't find a way into the end zone. I feel like I've seen that a lot this year. They're just struggling to put up points. And it hurts them here.
Yeah.
The Cardinals offense has been really, really good all season. That's been kind of their strong point. Kyler Murray, not too crazy of a game, but 29 points, got to be something good.
Yeah, I think the Bears are just very hot and cold. I don't think that they're a bad team. I don't think they're a phenomenal team, but I think that they're pretty solid. The Cardinals, though, I mean, 5-4. Wow. This is like what was supposed to be kind of year 2-ish of their rebuild, and they're kind of well past that, it looks like. Good for them. They look pretty solid through and through.
And they don't need to add that much on offense. Maybe just shore up that line a little bit. And if they could work on that defense, even make it half decent for next year, that could legitimately be a playoff team, especially with the way the landscape in that NFC West is changing. There's no reason that next year they can't be that team. I mean, they're in the race right now, and you never know what's going to happen.
They're technically first right now, which I don't think is going to hold. But still,
I agree.
Still, that's in the mix. You're in the mix. It's interesting.
I mean, we've seen teams come out of nowhere and make it and do something, so you never really know.
Yeah.
Like the Giants 2 years ago, it could be a
Right.
situation like that. But yeah, they're set up pretty well. Eagles and the Jags. Jags came back late. They scored 16 points in the third quarter, but Eagles still pull away 28-23. Story of the game is Saquon Barkley's incredible play. I think he's just a machine out there. And I don't know how he did that hurdle backwards, really. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
that was insane. That was
159 rushing yards, a touchdown. He's just on another level right now. And he's really been the backbone of this Eagles offense all year because at times when Jalen Hurts has struggled, they've been able to just put their trust in Saquon Barkley. Now, Hurts has been better. He's looked better the last few weeks. I've said it multiple times on this show. I didn't like how the Eagles started the year. They were winning games, but I didn't think they looked all that great. And they were just squeaking by. But now they're starting to figure it out. And it looks like they're going to be in the race with the Commanders for that division. I do think they will pull away just based on talent and experience. But there's a lot of time. And there's half the season left. So we'll see. This was a pretty big shock. So the Lions beat Green Bay at Lambeau. We both picked the Lions, but I think the score being 24-14 is misleading because the Detroit Lions absolutely dominated this game. And for me, what the turning point was, there's about 30 seconds, I don't remember the exact time, left in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
The Lions score a touchdown. The Packers have the ball. And now I'm not saying you have to knee it and just end it. Maybe try something, but they try a little too much. It's rainy, it's wet, and Jordan Love throws a pick six. Now, instead of being down by a touchdown in the locker room at halftime, you're down by 2 touchdowns. And I think that just killed the entire vibe. And from that point forward, the Lions just stuck it to Green Bay and just ran away with the game.
I mean, the Lions are they not the class of the NFC right now?
Oh, no, they're the class. Yeah, they're the class of the NFC. It's not close.
I think I mean, if playoffs started today, I'm picking them to go to the Super Bowl, like from the NFC for sure.
Yes.
They're just ridiculous. Like offensively, how do you stop them? That running game you can't stop. When Amon-Ra's going, can't stop him. You barely have unlocked Laporta, who had an amazing season last year.
And Jameson Williams hasn't even played the last 2 games.
Right. Yeah, you haven't even used Jameson Williams the past 3 games. So it's just like, this offense is unstoppable. This defense has some solid playmakers too. Just obviously hurts that Hutchinson's out.
They did add Zadarius Smith to kind of fill that void.
Right,
this year.
Zadarius is okay, but still, like...
Oh, no, not the same at all, but
Hutchinson's a definite playmaker. But, yeah, I mean, still, this defense does enough, and this offense is just dominant. They're going to just keep winning games. They're going to mow down teams.
Jared Goff does not get enough credit. He's not an elite quarterback, but this year he's putting the ball in his playmakers' hands. And the way his completion percentage is absurd. 82% in this game, just under. And every game all year he's had an incredible streak of completing passes, one of the highest rates ever. And he's just putting the ball in these guys' hands and letting them make the plays. And it's really shown. They're very good with that two-man running attack, good wide receivers. It's just everything's looking good for this team. And now they just the division is theirs to take. They have the first place tiebreaker right now.
Mm-hmm.
So if they could take that all the way through the playoffs, that'd be a good sign for Detroit.
Definitely.
Rams and Seahawks. Seahawks are just, I don't know what to think of them. I think they're starting to lean that they're not a good football team, and I'm going to say below average. This game they didn't win. The Rams win it in overtime, 26-20. Sunday Night Football, Vikings and Colts, 21-13 in favor of Minnesota. Another game that I think the score is misleading. Looked like Minnesota was the better team throughout this one. Joe Flacco was not very good. 1 interception. That was not good. Darnold had a good game, 3 touchdown passes. He also had 2 picks, however, but almost 300 yards passing and 82 completion percentage. So, yeah, 2 ints, not ideal, but when you're completing it at that rate, I think it's kind of excused even with the 3 touchdown passes. But his team got the win, so you take that. Aaron Jones looking solid, Justin Jefferson doing what he does, Addison with a touchdown, they're getting the ball around. A lot of skill players out there, making it easy for Darnold. Kind of similar to what the Lions have on offense on the way they get the ball around. But those 2 teams are looking solid. Vikings lost their last 2. They get back in the win column here.
Yeah, no, the Vikings are definitely a very solid team through and through. And You look at this NFC North though; it's still ridiculous. Like Lions are 7-1, Vikings are 6-2, and the Packers are 6-3. Like it's going to be a bloodbath for that division.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Right now I'm taking the Lions just the way they've been
Me
playing.
too.
But
yeah,
you never know what could happen, and
so
it
close.
shows like if there's you got to think that regardless that the second and third teams are going
Brennan?
to
I can't
find
hear
a
you.
way into the playoff.
Oh,
so
okay.
The second and third team we're going to definitely find a way into the playoffs. That leaves one spot for the rest of the conference, and the Bears still like have been okay. Like they lost the last 2 games, but they've been around 500 or better. They were 4-2. I remember a couple weeks ago. I think 5-2. Unless they lost that game, I don't remember exactly. But they've been pretty solid. One game to wrap up the week. Chiefs win yet again, 8-0. So 30-24 over Tampa Bay. They take that one in overtime. Bucks could have won it. They did not, but they went for overtime, which I understand with the weather and stuff like that. What are you going to do?
Right.
You can kill coaches after based on what happens. If they win the game in overtime, nobody's talking about it. But the Buccaneers, I think, to me, are a good football team. They're very streaky. Some days they look very good. Some days not so good. And this game, they weren't even bad. It's just that the Chiefs are the Chiefs.
The Chiefs, yeah. Just the Chiefs are the Chiefs. This was Mahomes' best game all year, which is scary for the rest of the league. He didn't even have 300 passing yards, which, again, 300 passing yards is a very good game. But that's scary for the rest of the league that he didn't even clip 300 passing yards. And I'm saying this is his best game all year. 3 touchdowns, no picks. He got Hopkins involved a lot, which was great for them.
Got Kelsey involved.
Yeah, Kelsey too.
That's been the last, I think, 2-3 weeks. He's been getting the ball, more targets, yards. This one he had 100 yards on the dot. So getting him in there is huge, as we mentioned.
And getting Hunt involved though, like
he's
that
so
running
good.
game is crazy.
He didn't even miss a beat.
He knows the playbook already. He's all good. And yeah, in overtime I was like, yeah, he's getting the touchdown. I already know it.
It might be my best fantasy pickup, I think, in my entire life, picking him up. Yeah, the day that he visited with the Chiefs, I saw that he was visiting. I'm like, there's no way they let him leave. So
makes sense.
Yeah, that might be the single best move as fantasy manager I've made in my entire life.
There you go.
So hopefully that takes me somewhere. But Chiefs 8-0, and Bucks, they fall, and that one's still alive in the NFC South. Let's move on to the game picks for this week. Before we do that, I want to plug our social medias, as you can see on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. If not, you could check us out at srl.media on Instagram and TikTok for content, original content, stuff surrounding the show, and more. And then here on YouTube, it's SRL Media. You could follow us, me, on Instagram and X at Brendan_Yerkes, BRENDAN_YERKES. And on Instagram, you can follow Alex at Alex_FACC02. Let's get into the picks for this week. Starting out with Thursday night, it's a AFC North battle. We had this one, I believe, recently. Bengals and the Ravens. It's in Baltimore. Alex, how are we starting this off?
In Baltimore, definitely taking Baltimore. I just think honestly, even if it was reversed and it was Bengals at home, I still would probably take Baltimore. I just think that they're a better team through and through. Even though the Bengals are starting to hit their stride and look like they should be solid, and they're not. But yeah, I'm gonna be taking Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm going with Baltimore as well. Home team, better team this year. They look really good. Bounce back win, showing their dominance last week. I don't think the Bengals defense can really handle this offense again right now. Their offense is starting to pick it up a little bit, but their defense isn't going to be able to match up against Lamar well at all. So give me the Ravens at home. We have a game in Germany this week, to the dismay of many people. It's the Giants and the Panthers. Not a very good matchup. I'm going to go with the Giants. I think Daniel Jones looked better last week. He's better away from MetLife Stadium, though, so which is weird. Panthers coming off the win last week. Bryce Young was better, but I don't know. I'm going to go with the Giants. I like that they've been putting up some points. I think this is a game that they're going to win. The Giants, to me, are a bad team, but they're not like a 2-win bad team. I think they're going to be in like the 5 or 6 range. So I'm going to see them. This is a game they're going to pick up here.
Yeah, so I there may be some bias involved here. I'm actually going with the Panthers. I hope Bryce Young has a legacy game. I hope he goes crazy.
It could happen.
It could happen. It wouldn't surprise me. Just the Giants have just been so bad this season, and I need them to lose every single game, especially against one of the worst teams in the Panthers. Because now if the Giants win this game, later on down the line for the draft, you could be looking at them having like a pick higher or 2 picks higher than us just because of this one game. So, as a Giants fan, please, 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 please lose this game.
And I talked about offense a second ago, but I think it's going to come down to the defense. If that Giants D-line, especially the interior guys, can push through on a weak Panthers O-line and get to Bryce Young, that's where all the fits have been caused for him all year. If they do that, they're going to win this game. But
Sure.
but they've been very on and off. Some games they've been elite, and other games they have been awful, and you haven't seen them at all. So
no in between.
I think that's the storyline there. Patriots and the Bears. Bears losing 2 in a row. I think they bounce back here. They're at home. Patriots coming off the loss to Tennessee. Give me the Bears.
Yeah, I'm going with the Bears here as well. I just think they're the better team on paper, and I like their chances more at home. And yeah, I mean, Drake May has looked decent, but again, he hasn't fully hit his stride yet. So give me the Bears at home.
Bills and Colts. This one's in Indianapolis, but the Bills have been really good this year. Josh Allen, another big game last week. I'm going to ride with them again.
Yeah, this is also just an easy pick for me. I'm going Bills here as well. Not much more really to that.
All right, Chiefs and Broncos for the first time this year. It's Mahomes. It's a home game. Now, Denver has upset them randomly in the past.
True.
Not here. Bad loss last week against a good team. Second straight game against now the top 2 teams in the AFC. Give me the Chiefs.
Like we've been saying this entire series, until they give us a reason, we're not picking against them. Give me the Chiefs.
Absolutely. Okay. Falcons and the Saints. Give me the Falcons. Saints are we're not opposite of the Chiefs. Till the Saints now give me a reason to pick them, I will. So, we're not gonna pick them. Give me the Falcons. They've been looking really good. Like we said, Kirk and that offense starting to lock in, feel each other well, and they're gonna take this one.
Yeah, give me the Falcons here as well. I just think that they're looking much more dominant as of late, and the Saints look horrible, to say the least. And they're probably going to be, well, I don't know if it's a guarantee or not, but obviously Chris Olave had another concussion, so there's a good chance he's probably out again as well. So yeah, give me the Falcons for sure.
All right, probably the toughest game to pick this week. 49ers and Buccaneers. It's in Tampa Bay. Who you got?
I'm going to be going with San Fran here. From what I understand, McCaffrey is practicing, although limited. So there's not a guarantee that he's going to play this week. But if he is playing, I think that will also really boost the morale of this team and probably lift them up for a win, which they desperately need. But even without McCaffrey, again, Jordan Mason has been amazing. So it's not his fault that they're losing games. But I also just think on even with how both these teams are playing right now, I just think that the 49ers have been better as of late. So I'm going to take the Niners.
Yeah, I like how Tampa Bay played last week against Kansas City, and I think I'm going to take that into this one. And I'm going to give them the win, actually. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers because Tampa Bay, like we said, very streaky on and off, where San Francisco is still finding their identity, and usually by now they find it, even with the slow start.
Right.
So I still don't think they're about a 500 team, but I think they're vulnerable, and the Buccaneers have been very big on offense. Now they've been missing their top wide receivers. It's kind of been a little bit tougher going for them, but they're at home. They're coming off a tough, tight loss to the defending champs of the last 2 years. So I think they're going to rally that into another home game here and then pull away against San Francisco. But that's definitely the toughest one, I think, to pick this week. This one was another tough one. Pittsburgh and Washington. It's in D.C., and I'm going to go with the Commanders. The offense has been showing me a lot. I love what Jaden Daniels is doing. The Steeler defense has been very good all year as well. But I think Jaden Daniels does a very good job of getting out of the pocket, extending plays. And I think that's what's going to be able to put them over the top. Because if that pass rush gets there, but it's once Daniels can get out, I think, and he can escape that pass rush, the rest of the defense is solid, but not as good as that front. So him being able to break free, extend some plays will be pretty good. And then the Steeler offense, which has been okay, Now, the Commanders, they add Marshawn Lattimore, a huge corner, one of the better corners in the league. You don't really see them get traded too often. That's going to be another big boost for that defense. They're at home. They're fired up. They're looking good. One of the best starts they've had since the 90s. So give me the Commanders.
Yeah, that's the thing with this Commanders team. They just have like a whole different culture now. Like
Absolutely.
it used to be obviously just like one of the worst cultures in the entire league, and then now look at it. Even in a year's time, it's just crazy
And
to see.
Dan Quinn's a good football coach. I think that wasn't really talked about enough. He had success when he was with Atlanta,
Right.
and then as the DC with Dallas. So
Yeah.
he has experience. This isn't his first go around.
Right. And yeah, so I'm gonna be going the Commanders here as well. Even though every time I fade the Steelers, it comes back to haunt me. I hate it. I feel like I always pick against them, and then they end up winning and shutting me up. But I'm gonna do it again, and I'm picking the Commanders.
Vikings going down to Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence probably isn't playing in this game, so I think that alone, I wasn't going to go with the Jags anyways, but I like how the Vikings been playing. At least last week, they bounced back from the 2 tough losses, beat the Colts. Now another AFC South team. Jacksonville hasn't played well, and especially if they don't have Trevor Lawrence. Now Mac Jones might be okay, hasn't gotten a chance in a while, so might want to prove something, but the high-powered offense in Minnesota, give me the Vikings.
Yeah, you mentioned Mac Jones, and I just that's brutal. No thanks. Give me the Vikings. They've just obviously been the better team through and through this year. So yeah, just give me the Vikings.
Yeah, throw that smile. You were going to pick the Jags again.
Oh no! I can't do that. Can't do that to myself.
Tennessee Titans and LA Chargers. Yeah, give me the Chargers. Yeah, they've been playing well. You said the defense has been really good. Titans, they surprised last week, but overall just haven't been great. Still only 20 points last week in that win against the Patriots. Now if they're going against a really good defense like this, Herbert's been solid. So give me LA.
Yeah, give me LA as well, but I do think that they're going to pound it on the ground. So I think Dobbins is going to have a really good game. But yeah, there's not really much to say. Tennessee's been just awful, and the Chargers have been really good. So give me the Chargers at home.
All right, Eagles, Cowboys, always a fun one. But to me, it's not even a contest right now. The Eagles are looking way better than the Cowboys are. Who knows if they have Dak Prescott? It doesn't look like they will. It's going to be somebody else starting there. So they're gonna run the ball all over the Cowboys with Saquon Barkley, even though they're on the road. So give me the Eagles.
Yeah, so I'm insane, and I'm a psychopath. I'm picking the Cowboys, and I couldn't tell you why. There's no really a rhyme or reason to it. Cooper Rush, randomly when he starts, has that random legacy game where everyone's like, wait, is Cooper Rush good? And then like 2 weeks later, you're like, no, Cooper Rush is bad. But I think this is going to be the game where he shows out and everyone's like, wait, he's kind of decent. And I think it's going to take Philly by surprise. They obviously have a lot of holes in that defense, especially with the secondary. So be on the lookout for that. And yeah, obviously an upset here, but I'm going to be going Dallas.
Starting the cycle again.
Yep.
All right, Jets and Cardinals from Arizona. Here we go, our favorite part of the show. Listen, they really are making me want to pick them, and there's reasons to, but I'm not. I'm going to go with the Cardinals. Their offense has been good. Now, the Jets' offense looked good last week, but if this Cardinals offense can put up a whole bunch of points and really utilize the run game against the defense of the Jets that has struggled and even has been banged up, they've all the secondary has been hurt at a different point. And I think if that's where they're going to be able to attack the pass game, but the run game has not been able to do anything. So if Kyler can escape, he's going to be able to make a lot of plays with his legs, especially with Connor back there too. But the Cardinals, we said they're weak defense, so the Jets might be able to put up a lot of points too. So this game's going to be a shootout to me, not very defensive at all. A lot of points on the board. And the Cardinals, they're rolling right now. I'm going to ride with Arizona. I don't know if I'm trying to, work some mojo that if I pick for the Cardinals and the Jets are going to win, but I feel like I can't pick the Jets. And I have no reason to pick the Jets until they give me a reason to. But if I do pick them, they'll lose. I don't know. It's all over the place. But it's going to be. I think this will be a pretty close game, but a very offensive one.
Yeah, this is going to be a really good game. I'm also leaning Arizona here as well. I just think that their offense has looked much better than the Jets.
More consistent, I think, is what we're looking for.
That's a fair point. Yeah, more consistent. If the Jets are as what they should be, then they should beat them pretty handily, but they're not. So that's the issue. But yeah, give me Arizona here at home.
Yeah, I think the X factor is going to be Breece Hall in this one. If Breece Hall can get going, the Jets have a better shot. But he's been very on and off this year. But when they get him outside, get him the ball, and he could kind of make the pass game open up a little bit, that changes everything, especially against a defense like that. Sunday Night Football should be a fun game too. Detroit and Houston. It's in Houston, coming off that tough loss to the Jets. Long week, not a bye week, because they played the Thursday against the Jets. And I'm gonna ride with Detroit on the road again. Road dogs right here. They're looking good. Offenses everywhere. They're very consistent. C.J. Stroud has struggled mightily, missing some of his wide receivers. Still, Nico Collins are playing this game. When's he going to come back? Today is Wednesday. He did not practice, so it'll be another day at least, and it's getting closer too. So even if he does play, how much is he going to play? But Tank Dell was there last week, so they're a little banged up. They've struggled, and the Lions are just going to not skip a beat and just keep going.
Well, yeah, that's the thing with what's going on right now. Detroit is just much more healthier than Houston at this point. And yeah, they're just firing on all cylinders. So I'm going to be taking Detroit as well. Just also in general, this matchup, they're featuring the black jerseys versus the Houston's like all red jerseys. I don't know.
That's crazy. Yeah, they're letting the Lions wear black against the red.
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of ruins it, to be honest.
But the jersey matchup is crazy in itself. The game is gonna be crazy in itself. But give me the Lions.
Yeah, this should be a Thursday with that jersey matchup.
Yeah.
All right, last one of the week, Dolphins and Rams. I don't think that's going to be a very good game. It might be close just because those teams are kind of close with where they are. I mean, the Miami offense has so much talent on it. And Tua was pretty good last week for coming back. But I'm going to take the Rams here. They're at home. They got that win over Seattle last week, and I just think now they've been hurt a lot too. Both of these teams have dealt with their fair share of injuries, but this is one of those games where you just got to pick somebody. The Rams, they've come out with a bunch of random wins this year, and the Lions, the Dolphins don't love their defense right now, and I think they're going to keep plummeting down as the season goes. It's going to be a lost season for them.
Yeah, I'm going to be going with the Dolphins here. I think that the Rams are kind of almost equal in terms of skill level, but I really feel like the Dolphins should have won last week. Like they lost because of a Tyler Bass 60-yard field goal. That's crazy. That usually never happens, especially for Tyler Bass, who is kind of an kicker at best. So they should have at least forced overtime last week, and then who knows what happens in overtime. But I think that they're starting to really get some cohesion at least. I think it is kind of a lost season just based on the start and everything. But they have a lot of talent on offense, and I'm going to be riding with that talent. So give me Miami.
Yeah, Matt Stafford's been a dog on the Rams, so I don't know. I think he's pulled out a lot for them. They have a lot of vets that have really done their job and kind of upset other teams a lot. So I don't know. I'm riding with LA at that one. But that's going to do it for week number 10 of season 1 for the SRL on the NFL. It's been a lot of fun so far. So check our socials to keep up with our picks and how we've been doing. So on Instagram and TikTok, it's SRL.media. Here on YouTube, SRL Media, along with Spotify and Apple Podcasts, you can find all of our shows. My name is Brendan Yerkes, joined alongside Alex Fachaponte. As always, thank you so much for tuning in here to week number 10 of SRL on the NFL.